Mm. Hey, Alicia.
Hello.
Hi, how are
Hi,
you?
hi.
On time?
Hi, I'm good. Yeah, I'm not made up today this time.
Mm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah. So it's 7:30 for you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Thank you for joining on
Oh,
time, and then
no, it's
you
my
know,
pleasure.
yeah, and keep some water with you because we'll be chatting for a while. So yeah.
All right,
Or anything
sure.
else. Yeah. And also, just will quickly introduce you. You know, so hi everybody. You know, again another Insta Live from us at Rang. I'm Ritash, one of the co-founders. You know, we also have the our collaborators who may one of them might join. You know, they are from Nestam Sochesk, which works in Andhra Pradesh state, you know, in southern India. And Rang, whereas is an intersectional queer collective based across India. Just 4 years ago, we started. We actually, you know, provide legal referrals and mental health counseling, and this very important, you know, initiative of documenting multilingual first person narratives through Insta Lives. So, in that, we are delighted to welcome Alicia, who is a lawyer based in Malaysia, and an asero person and queer, and you know, very happy that while I have done you know, Insta Lives or you know, online webinars with Alicia over the last couple of years, you know, on various occasions through Asexuality Asia's you know, conference called Pan Asia. Twice we did, plus last year through the South Asian Bioethics Council. Yeah, and but this is the first time we are having Alicia all to ourselves. Okay, right? Okay, and Alicia, if I missed anything, please you know, excuse me, and then just continue in your introduction.
Yeah.
Okay, right? And you know, the other thing, what I must tell people here is, Alicia has also, you know, done research. I think in the legal area, apart from you know, you know, practicing as a lawyer, because of course any kind of lawyering work involves research, but the Alicia had some interesting insights to offer on how research, especially with regards queer issues, happens. So, you know, we hope to chat all about all this with Alicia. Uh, you know, so to all the people who are joining for the first time, special welcome to people, our regular followers and listeners again, or people who will later on watch the recorded live. Yeah, recorded live, or be seeing the text or the audio or whatever. Um, so, without much ado, we will get started. It's going to be a freewheeling conversation as usual. Alicia, well, there are many things that we can you know, start with, but obviously, um, you are a lawyer. Uh, you are, of course, queer, aro, and all that. Okay. And we in South Asia, I don't mean to speak for the whole of South Asia, but we have seen, you know, certain things happening in East Asia, but again, each country is different. Southeast Asia, East Asia, South Asia. Uh, I mean, despite certain differences, obviously there's many commonalities in our broad, you know, Asian society, Asian cultures. Okay, first of all, we have, I think, millions of years of indigenous history and everything. Okay, But the laws, as they are, yeah, they they and society, the law also based on societal mindset, right? Eventually, right? Uh, somewhere behave as if queer people, or asexuality specifically, aromanticism is something new. It's, what, an urban fashion, a Western, global North export kind of thing, right? Do you also encounter such kind of attitude or mindset, specifically in Malaysia or anywhere else you've gone in Asia?
Yeah, definitely. I think in Malaysia uh we have a significant Indian population here as well. And as well as our own indigenous peoples, right? And I think in it there is documented history of that culture being inclusive towards trans people and people of different sexualities. But we are also a British colony, and I think India and Malaysia laws are very similar.
Mm.
And yeah, we inherited um, a lot of that bigotry actually from the West, rather than it being inherent in our own cultures. I think there's actually a very good collection of research done by a local Malaysian queer organization that shows that actually our culture was a lot more open and inclusive um, before colonization kind of erased much of that history. So yeah, I think there's still very much this attitude that sexuality is a Western import, that but it's just not the case. Yeah.
Totally, totally. Yeah. I mean, as a, queer panromantic ace myself, and, we'll come to the neurodivergence part because among the
Mm,
many commonalities that Alicia and I have, this is one of the things. Uh, you know, that is in a way sad but unsurprising, the kind of mindset that you're saying. Sometimes, actually, for me, nowadays, maybe at age 51, I've decided to take everything, like, I think people say sometimes this can be a coping mechanism, something with a little bit of dark humor, because I was like, it's like literally come full
yeah.
circle. We had indigenous queer cultures
Yes.
always, yeah, and, you know, even without the shared colonial history, there are, as you say, actually, for I think many centuries before colonization, also there was migration between the Malay, within the Malay
Mm,
Peninsula.
mm,
And I mean, of course, the Indian Ocean being common. I mean, it's very strange. It's called the Indian Ocean because
mm,
it is there in so many other parts away from India,
mm,
also, right? But anyway, right. And yeah, I mean, like there is commonality of language, of race, ethnicity, right? And of course, food. And also, the other thing is that, uh, for all you know, the if at all there was documentation, I mean, yeah, because for we don't know, they could have, they, as you said, it's great that there's documentation, but that might have been in the local languages, right?
mm,
And how many of that was translated, how much of it was translated and translated correctly without bias, right?
mm, mm, mm,
Plus, also, there have been so many indigenous languages which are oral, no script, right? So, how does the documentation happen, unless there's audiovisual documentation, right?
mm,
And but you said, and which is very crucial, and which I keep hearing from indigenous people across the world, that actually there was much more tolerance, not even tolerance, acceptance of any other kind of gender, sexuality, and maybe disability or any other kind of thing where people are different, right? And for instance, in English they say two spirit, but there are, like, recently a person of Filipino origin was saying, in Tagalog, and also other dialects which are spoken in and around Philippines, there has been evidence of indigenous queer trans cultures. So, and unfortunately, at one time, colonizers, despite whatever they think, no apologies to the colonizers, right? They thought they were civilizing us and putting their own advantage, but it was ridiculous because all that they left back was these kind of laws, right? And which in India itself, I think, took until 2018, which is such a which is so outrageous, which is so shameful, that despite multiple local and sub-local cultures across India, or whatever was India before 1947, in the whole of South Asia, despite all the indigenous cultures for thousands of years, I mean, it took so long, such long court battles with that section to be read down, and unfortunate in the Indian Penal Code, which automatically criminalized us. Yeah. And now, the colonials who left those laws back, they went and reformed in their own country, but we hung on to them for so long. It is so stupid in a way, as you say. It's sort of also disrespect to our histories, right? To our local cultures. But apart from that, but unfortunately, much of it revolved around that. Apart from that, um, any other specific laws or policies which, in Malaysia, where which is affirmative towards I mean, sorry, queer trans cultures? Can you throw some light on that?
Affirmative. Wow. I think we're still a long way from that, I think. But
Mm.
what I can say is that recently there have been some positive developments in the legal space around queer rights. I won't go so far to say as affirmative, but some of existing religious state laws have been held to be unconstitutional, particularly around cross-dressing and also um, around gay sex. So, however, um, the cases are still very much it's it's still not um properly legislated on, so these are just case laws. But of course, even case law being in our favor goes a long way towards enforcement attitudes, because it really restricts police, the enforcement authorities, the way they enforce these laws, and how they go about doing it. It reduces enforcement of these laws as a whole. So generally, this is a good thing. But affirmative, I won't really say that as of right now we have any affirmative laws in place, unfortunately, other than, I suppose, the Constitution,
Yeah.
which has like our basic legal rights, right? The right to live free of discrimination, the right, the right to employment, all of that. I think um, those are definitely affirmative. Although I have to say, so in Malaysia, we have amended our constitution a few times. Some of the amendments do restrict or qualify those laws a bit, which has some impact on especially queer minorities. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You mean like a negative effect, is it?
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
yeah. Oh,
yeah.
okay. Right.
Because some rights, like the right to work, have been qualified a bit. Have Yeah,
Mm,
but
okay.
I
Mm.
need to look more into that before I'm really able to talk more about the amendments to the
Yeah, yeah.
constitution.
No, yeah, no worries. But
Yeah,
and also we've seen that the might of the state, plus globally, things are moving sort of right, right in a wrong sense,
yeah,
but right wing and very conservative. It's ridiculous in 2024 that we need to be discussing this. The so-called affirmative laws and policies are actually not helping, which is probably why reversing them or not experiencing the benefit is so that is widespread, and people say this, we should spread awareness. I mean, in a country, the world's largest population, 1.4 billion people, how much can we spread awareness when actually automatically the state in India should give those guarantees. I mean, it's ridiculous and it's an insult to the people who've created the constitution. Yeah, we say world's largest and world's most inclusive constitution, and it sounds so much like what you were saying. Many of our things were you know uh, drafted by visionaries, and first of all, as you say, uh, that is there in the constitution, but if it is not making sense to us, right? I mean, not making sense, and it's not that it can't be interpreted. It's so actually very simply worded, but very powerfully worded. But in reality, on the ground, if we do not experience, rather we experience the reverse, then we somehow feel, tend to believe, right, that there is no we don't have rights, or we are treated like lesser citizens or something, if at all. Actually, so at that time, I mean, I don't want to talk only about the law, but this chance of having this one-on-one with you, almost like I want to throw some light, because also shared cultures and the long histories. But uh, I think, I mean, Malaysia, yes, Islam is there, but it's also very diverse, right?
Mm.
And it's also in so many ways, uh, uh, despite not being too big a country, it's a very important connecting destination, right? Either for for the air, for the flights, or even for historically, or even now for the trade, right, on the sea trade and stuff like that. So, but and more importantly, apart from you, I have met Malaysians actually, face to face at conferences at the Asia level, or Asia Pacific level, right? And they are like, the same thing, like, or maybe these dichotomies exist everywhere. Nobody's actually stopping them, right? Like being openly trans or doing whatever work, or whatever, or even speaking. But you never know what or who will complain against you, right?
Yes, I
Mhm.
think this is a bit tricky to navigate in Malaysia because of the way that race and religion, the role that race and religion have played in our politics. And it's very much like a divide and conquer mindset. And so there's a lot of unfortunately, that does mean that in Malaysia, if you are Malay and you're queer, there is a much higher chance of enforcement against you, especially if you're also um, a middle lower class income bracket.
Yeah.
That does leave you more vulnerable to religious authority enforcement
Right.
against you. We don't really see as much enforcement against uh, other races. However, having said that, because again, religious laws only apply to those people who believe in Islam, who are Muslim. So our Islamic state laws then can only be enforced against Muslim people. But even so, uh, our penal code still has some very still has the natural sex offense,
Mm.
like a sex other than natural sex is an offense, um and uh and our and that particular offense, as in sex that is not natural sex, is used to by the police as enforcement against a variety of sex assault or other sex offense, because Malaysia doesn't have like a sexual assault um specific legislation. So we don't really have a lot of data into the enforcement against other people from other races, because the waters are kind of muddied. Even if you get the statistics for the enforcement of the unnatural sex offense, it's very possible that the police are using it against like rape or other sexual assault cases, so rather than against queer people specifically. So it's kind of hard to determine, but yeah, I would say that largely as a whole, tourists would not get the brunt of such enforcement. Having said that, you're right, they could be arrested if they are, I suppose, loud enough or if someone complains enough. They could be arrested for offenses such as public indecency, and other related offenses. So it is less likely, but I would not say that like there's definitely a non-zero possibility of it happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So essentially, it's not advised or it's not sensible to be openly queer, is it? Whether in a virtual space or in or a physical space, or is it okay? Like, how does that like?
I think generally
Mm.
you would be able to get by provided you're not Muslim,
Right.
but you
That
would
matters.
definitely face some amount of harassment,
Mm.
and that would I I I would go so far as to say that it would definitely involve authorities. So like the authorities would also harass you. Mm.
Yeah. I think, but that way, kind of, I mean, as I said, with or without affirmative laws and policies, also, I think in
Yeah,
India, in fact, what I hear periodically and read also that worldwide it's never great,
yeah,
or, oh, we have it all, we are fine, we're safe.
yeah.
Never,
I think
yeah.
it's more like if let's say you were queer, you went about your daily life as usual, and then as you were driving to work, you got stopped by the police at a roadblock, and then your maybe your tail light was broken, one of your rear tail
Yeah.
lights was broken,
Mm.
and the police might use that as an excuse to give you a hard time.
Ah,
And you know that if they arrested you, um, there would be other complications, and so that kind of thing might happen. So when I say that, or like, uh, you might face a harder time if you went to renew your license. So maybe not so much in private situations like going to the bank, maybe not. But if you had to go to the local council to um, renew your business premise license, you might face some problems there from the officers, that kind of thing. So in that sense, because it's still an offense, it makes interacting with authorities kind of fraught, to say the least. There's also like a possibility that you would get arrested if you go out late at night, if you went to party or the like, on account of you might get arrested on account of sex trafficking, prostitution offenses.
oh,
If you're yeah, if and related, if you're particularly if you're trans, one of I would say if not most visible of the queer groups. Yeah, this does make it quite dangerous for especially like for trans people to navigate life in Malaysia. But like I said, it's very it does get quite situational. It does depend where you are
yeah.
in Malaysia. But yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's so familiar. I mean, or otherwise, they should not be, they should go jobs as if, people. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, for some of us with our privileges itself, once you're openly clear, I mean, if you mention, there are so many places where, they don't like you, or they behave in an way, so many ways, which obviously you know that they're like trying to, what do you say, caricature you or stuff like that, you know.
Mm, mm, mm.
So coming to, but thank you so much for those insights because, um, it's useful, right? Because,
Yeah.
and then, you know, I mean, this also takes me to these things about you as an ace, ace aero.
Mm.
Right? Um, how easy or difficult is it to explain to people, whatever language you use, either English, Malay, or any other languages that you know or you may speak? Because I think this is something which I think we have discussed periodically, you and I and a few others in Panisha and at a time, but just want our people also watching or going to watch later or hear this, to
Mm.
is it even possible to easily explain it?
Uh, um, uh, sometimes I do. Sometimes I, I sometimes okay. I would say that it's not that easy to explain for the most part. And if in the conversation is somehow is very easy to explain, there is a high likelihood that the person you're talking to is also a superhero. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, like this is what ace means for me, and they're like, I get that. I'm like, okay, maybe you're ace too, like, but in terms of like explaining it, it yeah, I think I faced like a variety of attitudes from like challenging to like wanting to challenge me to just plain not understanding, and these days I usually like uh um go the route of like I'm not going to expand more on this other than this sentence. This like I'm asexual, I aromantic, I don't experience sexual attraction or romantic attraction, and I'm not taking further questions. Sometimes I do explain it like that. Not these days as trying to stand my ground or like not explaining anymore. But yeah. I think the thing that frustrates me the most about explaining it, when I say that I don't experience romantic attraction, I just don't. I experience other forms of love, but not romantic love. And then the question I get a lot will be like, um, but what is love? And I'm like,
Mm.
buddy, wrong person. I I wanna that question irritates me so much. Yeah, I usually am like, I think you need to do some soul searching, figure out that answer for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lovely way of putting it. And I'm glad that you brought in romanticism to it is
Mm,
doubly, what do you say, Shalini? It's like, I mean, as if uh, even one aspect of it isn't, I mean, uh, this whole natural, normal, and all that. I mean, I mean, I'm sure you would have heard those words, right? Regularly, okay? And yeah, I like, I think a couple of the people whom I've discussed it with earlier also are here. I'm this whole thing about unnatural sex or something, right? That is the colonial
mm,
basis for which that whole section in the Indian Penal Code was there, which itself is replaced. So there's now some confusion and some fear
mm,
as to what the new thing is saying. They say it's nothing to worry, but it's excluding this, it's excluding that. So we may be back to square one or square minus one
mm,
in India. But that apart, so I was discussing this with another ace, and then we were like, okay, maybe it is not even, see, there they're talking about unnatural sex, which itself is wrong and bad. Now, I mean, calling it not that sex is, okay, but now they find our thing maybe
mm.
not having that is also unnatural and abnormal, right? So I think for us, the level, I mean, in their context, the level of being unnatural or abnormal seems to have gone to another, stage or height or whatever, right?
No, it's and I've seen this somewhere. The right to love anyone also includes the right to love no one, which
Mm,
or more specifically, it's not the right to love, it's the right to choose, it's the right to
right.
not be
Fantastic.
criminalized, right? It is, yeah, and I think that's important. Like everything is the right to consent, you know? It's the difference. That's the difference. It's the right to consent. Yeah. I think that's the key thing that we're kind of that the especially the draft the penal code that we inherited is missing. It's the right to consent. It's very focused on what is a natural act, what's an unnatural act, but consent doesn't come into the picture.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. I mean, so many of your points are fantastic. And also, we have among our regular followers and participants, there's this Taiwai from Canada. It's early morning for them, but they are, a climate scientist yeah. And we had an Insta Live with them a couple of weeks ago. They also are a podcaster regularly. So they are saying, that I often have trouble explaining to folks what exactly it means to be ace aero unless they are in the community, definitely can relate. And particularly with respect to aromanticism. And thank you, Taiwai, for that. And, that mm, ties in very well with what you also just said, right? Uh, you know, the right to love and not be criminalized for anything, and just for loving, or loving in a different way, loving a different person, right? But I think this is fantastic what you said, the right to choose and consent, to to not do something, right, or not want something, right? So I mean, it seems like it's fundamental, it's basic, and in whichever language, country, whichever. But I think for many people, they're using some kind of a right to ignore it, but that is not a right. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to get doing any wordplay, but the thing is that what is it people's problem when we are not interfering, what we don't even intervene in somebody's lives if we are not asked, right? And then they want to not only abnormalize, unnaturalize us, but also ask these kind of things, right? How can you, as if love is only of a one kind. Yeah.
I think sometimes, I mean, of course, this situation is complex, but I think sometimes it kind of challenges a person's understanding of the world around them, and that challenge can be interpreted as a threat, and then they react to it very, very much in that way. And I have an example,
Sure, please
and
go ahead.
I have someone that I knew who had trouble with romantic relationships, and kind of her, like, just generally um her, I think she attached a lot of her self-worth to romantic relationships, you know, and she had a very fixed understanding of what marriage would look like,
Mm,
what a stable relationship would look like. And then when I told her that I was aromantic and I was in a long-term relationship with somebody, and that we were at that time either getting married or already married, I think that really challenged her her life,
mm,
so far.
mm,
Yeah, and I can I uh, I don't agree, but um I can see how, from like that, for her that would mean questioning her everything. That would mean questioning her relationships up to this point, questioning her tying her self-worth to it, questioning it being like inherent thing in people, questioning that what a successful relationship for her looks like, all of that. And this is something that she has actively centered her life around. and yeah, I can see how she would be threatened
Mm,
by my existence, even if like I was just being myself. I Yeah, I think a big part of it kind of ties into that. A lot of people aren't very good at um processing uh a situation that really ties into their beliefs. They don't understand it as like um they perceive it as a threat to their own existence, you
yeah.
know. And sometimes it's definitely a survival thing as well, and you will see that a lot in like sometimes like people who like maybe you might feel that they also are AIDS or the way they've lived is like like yours, and then you bring this up to them and then they get really defensive, and that could also be part of it, which is that they have kind of internalized the what should be the norm, and they force themselves to adapt. And now if you come
Yeah.
by and you tell them that like you know uh they didn't need to do all of that, it kind of throws into question all of their suffering, all of their pain,
Mm,
and they perceive it as a threat to them, to their way of life, or to their experiences. And I can understand that it's not easy for them to overcome this. I can understand that, and but that I don't believe it's right, but that's a journey they have to go through.
true, true. Yeah.
Most of the time when this happens, I just kind of like, okay, that's not. I sometimes like it's also difficult because sometimes I feel like I'm put into a very defensive position. I'm put into a position where I feel the need to defend myself, like get angry, get upset. And then sometimes I also need a moment to like,
Mm,
this is not about you actually. Like you did
yeah.
nothing wrong. I
To-
did I did nothing wrong, and like I can just walk away. I don't have to entertain all of this, right? And yeah, like sometimes that's something that I need to remind myself as well. That's like actually I don't need to defend myself. I don't need to get angry. I don't need to get upset. I can just leave. Yeah. Although sometimes it is also very, because I'm very petty. I'm a very peppy person, so it's very hard to resist the angry energy. I'm just like
yeah. Sure, sure. Exactly. No, no. I think like yeah, we will just address that comment. But one thing which many things resonated with me, and I'm sure any ASAROs who will be watching now or later or listening will or reading will understand that you know if somebody wants to define or evaluate or whatever, revisit their relationship uh, based on another person's or another set of persons realities, that is not the second groups or the second individual's fault, right? If like our relationship is one way, or our life or our choices, emotions, whichever, somebody cannot blame us just because they are using their life to compare and are unhappy about it, right? If they are trying, and we can easily get it, we can, I think, get it faster, that they are somehow trying to negate us, our realities, our existence, by projecting maybe, I don't know, their insecurities or their unwillingness to understand and accept us as we are. And as you say, I mean, I completely understand when we become defensive or upset, because how long and why should we take it, even if they are close friends or so-called biological family or whatever, right? And there's only so much we can ignore or swallow or whichever. And it's also bordering on being disrespectful and almost going towards being dehumanizing, right? And we often do not as I said, go and abnormalize somebody, though their realities may seem not as different, not something which we can relate to. I mean, I'm sex negative, but I cannot and I will not question, somebody who is having, a regular sexual encounter, episode, whatever experience, and enjoying it, right? And the same way, I won't even go and abnormalize them, surely, even to myself, though that is not something which I can, but given my age and the delay at which I started, with which I started realizing and understanding that I was not the only ace in the whole world, or, since I stopped self shaming and, I started self accepting, it took a while. So it's not that I did not try sexual experiences, but that's because I thought that that was the only way, you know. But gladly, and it's fantastic and so important, right? Somebody like that, Alicia, you, or some of the people who have participated in our Insta lives or other conversations earlier,
And you
extra,
as well.
yeah, yeah,
And you as well. You're really important too.
yeah, yeah. So that's what. And then just coming to the comment. I mean, you just want to respond to what I said, or we'll go to the comment. What?
We can go to the
Yeah.
comments. Yeah.
So Taiwai is saying that I know my mom reacted negatively when I came out as ace Aero. She mentioned, she was worried about me going lonely, but I think it might have also been at least on a subconscious level of fear of not having grandkids. Oh, Taiwai, thank you so much for saying that. This is regularly something we feel and hear, and we have to deal with. It is tough, but it's so important to discuss, right, Alicia?
Yeah, definitely. I was just laughing because my mom was just bugging me about grandkids. She stopped lately. Oh my God, touch wood. But like, yeah, she was also nagging me about it. And then I told her if she wants to take care of another kid so badly, she should just adopt more kids. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm not kidding. But I mean, like, like why would you put that on me? That's like a lot of pressure. Anyway, no, yeah, I think also I feel like yeah, it's very relevant. I think for parents as well, like there's a lot going into that. There's a lot of that um they a lot of our parents have lived their life in a lot of fear, you know. And when they raise us, they also raise us with a lot of that fear. And as much as like I disagree with what sometimes what my mom does or says, like I can also acknowledge that she does it because she genuinely believes it's the best for me. And um but it's very much rooted in that fear. Like if you don't live uh like a normal person, what she thinks is a normal person, you are going to get into trouble or you are going to suffer these negative consequences. And she's lived like that. I can see how it's difficult for her to kind of detach that from me, you know, to be like it's okay for her to live however she wants. Um um and also I think there's also a lot of expectation that comes with parents when they have kids. There's a lot of that kind of uh I feel like this is particularly more prevalent in South Asia, but I like where there's a lot of expectation, like not just around like have kids, get married, but also like become a doctor, be a lawyer, like be an engineer. Yeah, there's a lot of that expectation, and sometimes when that expectation cannot be achieved, it really shakes their ideas. It really shakes up like their foundation, and they project a lot of that uncertainty, that upset onto us as anger. Hmm. It's definitely difficult. I think personally for me, I've managed it not well, I must say. But generally, the best management strategy I've found so far is distance, a lot of distance. I don't know. Do you feel the same?
Yeah. Yeah, and that is sorry. Yeah. Um, okay. The thing is that, actually, yeah, I mean, tying in with what we was talking a few minutes ago about whether there are besties or siblings or whoever, our elders, right? um and many times, even if they're not biologically related as elders because they have been family friends, whatever, they think they are being concerned by, like their almost like a unilateral worldview, right? And now, if we silently try to ignore, that is considered rude. If we say something, that's considered rude or not being serious, or being irresponsible, or like, I mean, see, I've heard this from older people. Oh my gosh, no, it's fun having the grandkids around, but after a while it gets tiring. People should take care of their own children, even if it's our adult children should take care of their kids, right? Their little ones. And then they say, no, 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 but if we don't have grandkids, it's a problem. So now, I mean, folks, please figure out your priorities or your whatever, and
Yeah.
don't keep going on asking us. I mean, like you said, yeah, we may not be so outspoken or to say right on their face, but sometimes we can't have another way of responding and say, okay, why don't you adopt, or why don't you raise somebody else's, or why don't you babysit someone else's I don't know,
Yeah.
grandchildren or kids or whoever, right?
I'm
So
just like, why make me? So if you're that desperate to have another baby in the house, because she was the way she was saying it,
mm,
like she
mm,
wants to carry another baby or what. I was like, just go ahead and adopt more children. Like you
yeah.
can do that if you want to. Just go
Mm,
and do it.
mm.
Anyway, this conversation is it's gonna be a while yet. I think I won't escape so easily, but
Oh,
we'll see.
yes, yes, yeah. Yeah. And also, thank you for sharing specifically about, your relationship, because they'll be like, I mean, this is very difficult for them to take anyway. And if you're
Mm,
aromantic, how can you have relationship? It's like, I mean, everything is a relationship. Just like we say, love is love and love is
yeah,
of life is diverse. You know, these are not the only way that you can have a relationship and be with somebody for a long time, or whether it is long distance, half distance, or short distance, or in the same house, or whichever, right?
I think
So
that's a big part of what makes like being like being aero being so frustrating. Like not not it's not coming out right. I mean like as a aromantic, particularly before I knew I was aromantic, participating in relationships because still wanted companionship or still looking for, like somebody who, you know, at the time I didn't know I was aero yet. So a lot of it was like I'm I still remember when I was on that journey to learning that I was aero, I would often say that I'm looking for my perfect friend, which is like so interesting, like what a wording. But anyway, going back to, I think the thing that frustrates me a lot is that people often have an idea of what it means to be a good partner in a romantic relationship. They have a very fixed idea of what that looks like. But the thing is, if you ask enough people, and I ask just about every person that I get acquainted with, that I get to know, right? I ask everyone's idea of what it means to be a good romantic partner is different. Like it looks different. The rules are different. Like sometimes they'll expect like on specific dates you should take me out, you should
mm,
pay for most my meals. You should, and some people feel like I shouldn't have to communicate certain things to you. You should just understand what I want. Um, all of these rules that they have, all of it is different from person to person. Um, and it's very frustrating for me when people kind of uh project that reality like on me, um like in a way like you have to perform um
yeah.
these things, otherwise you're not a good partner. And it's very frustrating because they don't seem to understand that it looks different for other people, not just for me, just other allos as well. Love looks different for them as well. The way that they experience it, the way that they um are in a relationship is different as well. Uh, yeah, it drives me crazy. And a lot of times when you bring up this disparity to people, you're like, no, actually, love can look different than this, or you're like, um, this relationship performs this way, looks like this. Then a lot of times they'll be like, that relationship's bound to fail, or they'll say things like, that relationship is a bad relationship, or one of
Mm,
the partners is a bad partner. And things like that just drive me absolutely nutty because I just feel like so I just yeah, anyway. It really frustrates me because when I say I don't experience romantic attraction, they expect that there is some kind of universal love that is
mm,
experienced by everyone. But it's not true. Like even amongst those people who experience romantic attraction, it looks different. And
mm,
but they can't accept that either.
mm, mm, mm,
Yeah, anyway, this drives me absolutely batty. It's one of like the most
mm.
frustrating things for me.
Yeah, true, true, true. Because yeah, that's an also a very important. I mean, the various ways you're presenting it. That's so crucial to say and hear that see, actually, also it was also giving me this thought that you may know of somebody having, say, an abusive relationship, maybe they're getting assaulted and all. If you are so concerned about somebody else's relationship, go and try to support them. Don't come with your idea or your unnecessary or your delusion of so-called perfect relationship, because everyone's relationship is perfect or imperfect in their own way. Okay, we are nobody to judge however much those people matter to us. If actually they matter to us, we should stay away unless we are asked to, right? Stay away in the sense where where it's not necessary to, right? And they don't seem to respect the boundaries, but they will not like it if we even say something suggestive to them about their relationship. Because as they say, sometimes two people or whatever, however many people are there in this relationship, and first of all, why even is one relationship or any relationship defined only in a particular way, right? I
Yeah,
mean, there are QPR, there are friendships, there are, which is whatever they call, what, more than friends, and
yeah,
but it is for them to figure out or not, you know, who are even we to judge or decide whether figuring out or figured out. They can do it all their lives and then be just comfortable, happy with that, right? And
yeah,
still, as you said, you can, like that whole thing about, perfection itself is imperfect actually. Because, it just, I mean, doesn't it cause people stress? I mean, you can bear, many times life has gotten so crazy. I think it always was, but we're barely able to manage. Where do you have the time to go and literally poke your nose and your everything else into somebody else's life when it is not necessary, right? And if that really makes them uncomfortable and say it, would you like it, right? Plus, this thing about again, you are like this because it is that way, right? I mean, because you're asexual, it is this way. Because you're aero, it's this. Because you're ace aero. I mean, like, why do you want to attribute? If you're trying to understand, yes, we are here to help you understand as friends, whatever, counselors or, yeah. But, or, whichever, yeah, whatever our association with them is. But you need not, I mean, that way somewhere you're complicating things for yourself,
yeah,
right? When you're not able to figure understand, or rather you're misunderstanding, misinterpreting, and trying to again you know and and trying to just make everything uncomfortable for everybody, right? So much so that if they distance themselves from you, would you like it? Yeah. So that
yeah.
is, yeah, right. Yeah, sorry, you were about to say something,
No, I
otherwise.
wanted to address Tai Wai's comment on
Yeah.
for that love is assumed to be associated with romance or nuclear family, and there's no space for platonic love. So true, so true. I think it's the extent to where some people will expect that once or it tell you that you should expect that once someone gets into a relationship, a romantic relationship, um that they will stop spending as much time with you because you're like a lesser priority now, which drives me insane as well. This thing pisses me off to no end. Another another thing that is kind of just wild for me is how many people kind of expect their romantic partner to fulfill every need in their life, including their need for friendship and socialization. They expect their partner to fulfill that too. Like why does someone becoming your romantic partner suddenly mean that they become Superman or that they are the only person you're it's just kind of
Mm,
like mind blowing for me. I think like uh of course uh okay, maybe I'm not the best data sample here, but I definitely know like of my friends as well, where some of their partners have in the past expressed that they don't need friends because they have them,
mm,
and that to me is wild.
mm.
That shouldn't happen. You should have your own friends outside of your romantic partner. That's that. Yeah, I yeah, but for and then for me myself, I think it's so important that anybody that's in my life long term is also somebody I feel like I can be friends with. Um, Granted, I'm not like the best data point, but I mean, I feel like you get what I mean. Yeah. So just think that's kind of exactly like sorry, Tyra just commented the expectation that one person should be able to fulfill all their needs is unfortunate. It's yes, it is. It's honestly it's unfortunate for them. Like really. Because when they get like and this is exactly what ended up happening in my friend's relationship. So she ultimately decided to end the relationship with this her partner. And she was so worried to end that relationship because she felt like that her partner didn't have a support system outside of her, which like it's yeah, that's awful. I just can't I can't imagine that genuinely. uh yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I, it, it's crucial you tie and and Alicia is saying this. Actually, it's just not just it's a lot of pressure first of all.
Mhm.
Okay, and while again, as is, we said earlier that should not be judging or interfering in someone's relationship, but if that is most likely to make one of them very uncomfortable, not just uncomfortable, feel very, very pressure, stressed. Okay. So then what will happen? Unfortunately, the not only the relationship may end, it might also leave one of, or maybe both of them very hurt. Okay. Plus also it's very unhealthy because the person who is seeking that is most likely to be disappointed, who's seeking everything only in one person,
Yeah.
and the other person cannot. So again, it increases so much of the pressure. This thing strains the relationship, and this other person the person who's seeking everything in one person is not just going to be disappointed, but I think distressed and maybe even depressed, right?
I
And
mean, if I guess if it works for you, like then could all power to you, you know? Like if it works out for you, all power to you. Like I won't take that away from you.
yeah,
But I do think that generally speaking, it would not be like an ideal model. I think it's very, very important to have people outside of your partner. Not even in a relationship context, just in general. I think it's important for you to have a support system, like friend, more than one friend, like more than one person. Ideally, a few people in your life that you can trust and you can spend time with, and talk to. I think that's important, no matter what your life looks like.
Mm.
We are inherently social creatures. None of us are made to be on our own forever. It would be good for you to have several people, surround yourself with several people, and not only is it good for you, but also you learn a lot. The more people you meet, the more you talk to, the more your viewpoints get challenged, the more you see new ways of doing things, you learn more. All of that's also good. So I definitely don't agree with the that like one person should be your everything model. But hey, like like yeah, I encourage, my view has always been, you want to try it, like I encourage you to go and try it. If you get hurt, like that's how we learn, right? You fall down, you pick yourself up, you keep going. I just think it's unfortunate if you decide to subscribe to like the same path that keeps getting you into trouble and blaming it on the other person. I think like that's a very sad way to live. But all power to you.
Right. I mean, no. That's what we just said a few minutes ago. Like, we are not, commenting or judging or anything, but or laying out a benchmark or a
Yeah.
framework. Nevertheless, it's just that it can be unhealthy because, if only both are like that, even then, they say, right, like, even the most uh, biggest or introverts or whatever also, actually, when a person is introverted, they may not socialize much or
Mm.
be very comfortable with people around, but they also need their space. They also like, so
To spend time
no,
with
not
people.
with people who are introverts, right? In fact, introverts will say, yes, I may not know two people, I may not have too many relationships, I'm comfortable or so happy or whatever with who I know, the few people that I interact with, I may not socialize, but that doesn't mean I'm sticking to somebody all the time or
Mm.
expect that person. I mean, my partner and I are completely opposite that way. I mean, okay, opposites attract. I'm totally a social extrovert. They are not, but that doesn't mean, they're feeding of
Mm.
me or we're feeding of each other, or I am all the time fulfilling, and
Yeah,
yeah.
that's another thing as well, like just generally how relationships are expected to perform in general.
Hmm.
Um like I think uh I don't know that I subscribe to the whole extrovert introvert thing, but like I suppose I think from the outside looking in, I am very much more the extroverted one in my relationship, and I think my husband is the more introverted one in our relationship, at least from the outside looking in, right? And a lot of how we spend time together is just coexisting in the same
Right,
space. Yeah, we
right.
spend a lot of time just next to each other, and we sometimes we talk, sometimes we just do our own things while the other person is in the room. Like I might read on the bed as he plays a game. We're not talking, but it's nice to spend time with him like this. Like both of us are just existing together. That's also like for me. That's also, and I think that's one of the important ways I spend time with him. And I really enjoy the days where we get to do this together, to the point where I made it a point to schedule these days with him. So I'm like, okay, you keep Tuesday and Thursday. We try to get home early from work so we can spend some time on the weekday like this. And then most of the time we don't go out or do anything. We just stay at home and just coexist. And I like that. I like that a lot. And I think a lot of people are like, you don't date if you guys don't go out. You don't keep the romance fresh. You don't go into it. And I'm like, where are you getting all that energy? Like I don't understand. But okay. I mean, sometimes we do go out. It's not like we never go out, but that's not. It's just kind of sad that there's like a formula, or like there's a script to follow for even like a relationship that I guess performs to norm
Mm,
to an
mm,
extent. It's like
true, true.
you still have to do X, you still have to do Y, and
Mm,
I'm like,
mm.
but none of us want to do those things.
True, true, true. Exactly. I mean, it is so beautiful you said this, Alicia,
Yeah.
because first of all, as I think I've told you earlier, even if there was a script, I don't stick to my own script. Okay, I'm that kind of. I know, I know. Alicia's laughing,
Yeah.
right? That in one thing, but we are okay. Things have gone on. You've been together. We've been together for 22 years, and
Yeah.
it's like the same thing, right? You might have had your bestie in school, high school, I don't know, kindergarten. You may reconnect after like so many years of not connecting. I mean, I'm not saying they're same or but there are certain similarities in that you can be silent and still communicate, right? That was all I was saying. You can be literally separated and still communicate. As I say, catch up or, continue where you left off, right? Even if it is few days, few hours, months, whichever, right? If you think, I mean, and still, relate and resonate so much possible. That is the beauty, the joy of the diversity of relationships. And okay, and repeatedly what I think Alicia and I in earlier conversations on Ace Arrows we've said is that do not, or for that matter any of the queer folks, but more so with Ace Arrow because that is the least understood, more misunderstood and misinterpreted, right? Please do not stress yourself, do not bother yourself by comparing your relationship, your life to somebody else. That will be too much expectation, too much um, drama, and most importantly you're sure to not just get disappointed. If you can cope with disappointment, okay, but sometimes it doesn't end with disappointment. It starts with disappointment and goes to very extreme, because I am like a trained peer counselor for some time, for the intersectional queer community, but that has taught me, or I've relearned and unlearned certain things. Yeah. So, I mean, and this is not philosophy or whatever you want to call it, philosophy, fine. But this is the reality of relationships. Yeah,
Mm.
right. Absolutely, Taiwan. Harmful to compare or rely on societal norms, assumptions, and yeah, a short manifesto for relationship anarchy. Yeah, even if you're happily in a monogamous, because every relationship is different. Yes, yes, yes. Totally, totally agree, Taiwan.
Yes, relationship anarchy. I mean, kind of by, I don't know, is it accident? It was not on purpose. That's what I can say is that my relationship with my husband and my friends has kind of become a little bit like relationship anarchy vibes. Um, you know, but like it wasn't on purpose. Just kind of because one is that like I am a romance repulsed, like low, but yeah, it's there, and I don't really control it most of the time. It happens, and I'm like, oh no. But anyway, so like we avoid certain words, especially when we were dating, and I don't even like that. We were getting to know each other. We avoided certain words, things like that. And then also just the way we decided to structure our relationship, the way we decided like prioritize spending time together, the time that we spend together, how we spend that time together, things like that all kind of ended up being a little bit like anarchy. But I think the really important thing you have to walk away from when we talk about relationships is that like not just queer relationship, just every relationship
Mm,
is different, and people have different priorities, and it might be scary, it might be difficult, might be uncomfortable, but you will I feel like you will be so much happier if you embrace that, um and are open to changes in your relationship, new ways to spend time with people, new ways to love somebody. I think that might really help you to be more secure, more loved, feel more loved in your relationship. I think that's like, as a whole, it's a benefit. It's a net benefit. You know, it's a net gain for you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's fantastic that you said that, because, first of all, relationships or attraction itself, because they say
Mm,
sex and all is based on attraction, desire, whatever.
mm,
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I should have given a trigger warning earlier. But there can be intellectual, closeness or vibe, right? It can be based on so many other common interests or whatever, right? I mean, there is no need. You see, by putting ourselves, our relationships, our emotions out on this kind of a platform, we are not trying to, sort of advise anybody or try to guide. All we're saying is we're comfortable with it. We are, glad to talk about it. Later also, if you want to, you can DM us. But the reason we are putting this out is that, hopefully, first of all, as I said, we have accepted what we are, and we are fine with sort of discussing it openly. And hopefully, this is also some way people who are like now or later, or you can even share this or interact with this conversation. If it helps somebody, great, because that is important. And also, Alicia, this is also something which we discussed in earlier conversations, especially we are talking about stress and all that stuff. you know, many of us are neurodivergent queers, which is again okay. We have our coping mechanisms. Sometimes it gets difficult despite everything, support, professional, whatever.
mm,
Some people cannot seek, some people do not seek, whichever. Whatever
mm,
it is, but definitely, and I'm sure, I think you also have been questioned or maybe labeled or whichever, that, oh, it's because of that your race, or a person can be multiple things, but
mm,
there need
mm,
not be any, like you've discussed, I think, about the causation earlier, right? The
mm.
cause earlier, right? So certain things need not be related,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's definitely that. I mean, we were Ritash and I. We were in a panel for Panacea 2024 just last month. Last month, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wait, no, it's 1st December now,
Yeah.
so last
Yeah.
month.
April. Like
End October. End October. It was
that.
end October. Um, yeah, and at the time we were talking about kind of intersectionality, and one of the topics was intersectionality between mental health and being aro ace, or aro or ace, and yeah, and I was talking about how like the a reduced sex drive or lack of libido or lack of sex drive is a symptom that is looked out for in some as uh, in some mental illnesses, and the lack of sex drive itself actually uh, uh, was actually a mental illness in the DSM tree,
Mm.
I think, and has been since revised. So the latest DSM, the DSM-5 now says that a sexual person should not be diagnosed with hyposexual disorder, which is lack
Mm.
of sex drive. But yes, um, point being is there is a tendency to pathologize uh, asexuality and aromanticism, and aro ace people are particularly vulnerable to this for this reason, because it yeah and I was also sharing during that panel how it was uh, at the time very stressful for me to um, tell my therapist, tell my psychiatrist that I was aromantic, because I was afraid that it would be a symptom, it would be seen as a symptom of my depression, and that they would try to cure me or like have that. I just didn't want to have that conversation with them. And then I was also talking about some of the statistics I found in as I was researching the topic for that panel. Some study papers that was conducted on I think it was like 120 roughly ACE people, which out of which like about quarter to half of participants reported um um being reluctant to share their I think it was almost every participant was reluctant to share their sexuality with their medical practitioner. And I think about quarter to half expressed that they were pathologized. But again, it's been a while since I read the article, so I may not remember anymore. And yeah, and it was just really validating, I guess, in a sad way, to see the statistics that reflected my own experience. Yeah. Uh, and on this, mm, yeah, for my own experience, I was reluctant, but thankfully, I did find my therapist and psychiatrist through the queer community. So I was starting at like a bit of an advantage. And I even so I did preface that I'm not don't I don't see this as a problem. I'm not looking for a cure. And I just want you, I remember telling my therapist, I just want you to hear and understand and accept me. I don't want you to fix this. This is not something that needs to be fixed for me. Yeah. I remember having that conversation.
Superb. It is absolutely wise that you said. So glad and grateful because that's right. And even if we say this, sometimes these sorry, as you said, it's an advantage if we have trusted, caring, peer friends, and through them, like, find affirmative or peer, mental health professional. But also sometimes when we say they, the thing that they should accept that and also assist us in the, as required and possible, but if they can't, to step away rather than, because giving the wrong kind of thing is like, or worse than giving wrong, you know physical health treatment or wrong medication, right?
Yeah, I think there's that I think that particular issue was also discussed, that they were like, what if then, someone identifies as ace or aro because they have a mental illness that causes them to experience life like an ace aro person. And then I think my question is, what's so bad about that?
Mm.
You know, I think in addition to medical care, and I think it's connected to medical care. I really believe that it's not separate. They are not mutually exclusive. It is, still medical care. I feel like in addition to that, they should also encourage self acceptance, self love,
Mm.
and I remember thinking about this when I started antidepressants. I was thinking, what if I start antidepressants and then I find out that like actually actually uh I can experience romantic attraction. It's just that I was depressed. What if, right? And I was like, okay, well, we'll do it when we get there.
Mm.
Like I'll still be me,
Correct.
and then we'll just have like a new experience, and then we'll
Mm.
figure it out. It's still
Mm.
me. And I think that's such a crucial part of like generally just for questioning people. Like you'll see this in like every queer resource. It's just that things may change, right? Sexuality is a spectrum. It might fluctuate. You can get like don't be afraid to grow. Don't be afraid to question yourself. Don't be afraid to question your experiences, and really discover something. Really discover yourself and understand yourself, and support yourself. And I think that's so important, and I think that is something that, in addition to just seeing like this as like someone's experience as perhaps a symptom of an underlying issue, that you also encourage them to accept themselves as they are and as they change. You
Right.
know,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. True, true. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I agree. Yeah. I completely agree. And yes, great that you said this in such a, lucid way. And just recalling what, like, the folks at A-Space London, we had a very long, open conversation with them, very diverse Ace, and some of them were Aero too, uh, uh, 2 months ago. And this is the thing, like Taiwan is sharing, and you and whoever, whichever country people are from, this pathologization over medicalization, of ACE arrows thing, linking it to, mental health in an unnecessary way, in a wrong way, is so prevalent, which is actually undoing whatever, forget about even going up to affirmative care, even basically attempts to understand that asexuality is possible and, very valid. And in fact, as one friend who's going to talk, I think next week's Insta Live, yes, we're having this almost unplanned a series of Ace Insta Lives. It's fantastic that people are willing to talk from various places. They were saying is to, and many of us know also, sometimes the way the word is interpreted, when you don't know, you just think A means it is not there. It doesn't mean that way, right? And that's the beauty, that's the difference about aromanticism and, asexuality. It doesn't mean absence of sexuality. It's just a different kind of sexuality. And we know it's a spectrum, and it's almost going to be 9 o'clock for you, Alicia. So and it's Sunday, so you have again the week ahead and everything. So I don't want to keep you much longer, but it's been so enriching and exciting talking to you. And again, of course, I must say I've had the pleasure of talking to you a few times over the last couple of years, and as recently as in October. But anything else you want to add, or of course you're free to ask or type in the comments. But yeah.
Yeah. My cat is back in the
Oh,
room now and she wants to say hello. She's been screaming.
so cute. Hi.
Yes.
Mm.
Her name is Tigris.
Ah,
And she's very noisy.
yeah. Oh, but she's very quiet now. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, she's very quiet now because I picked her up because she was
Yeah.
screaming from the corner.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. So,
yes.
so we will end now, or you want to say anything more?
No, I think I had thanks so much for having me, Ritesh. I also had a great time talking to you. It's always so nice to connect and have that conversation. I really enjoy having this space, sharing space with you, and especially lovely to just be you and I this time, and just talk about whatever we want to talk about. That's
Correct,
nice.
correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be happy to join you again anytime. Yeah, and
Yeah.
keep in touch.
Yeah. Same here. Thank you so much again. And it's been wonderful. I didn't realize it was almost an hour and a half. That's the thing.
Time just flies. Yeah.
Yeah, and so lovely, extra special, bonus we got by meeting your pet. Yeah, and then all the best. We have the sort of holiday season coming up, so there will be, again, trigger warning to people. We know that there will be movie releases of all about romance and fluff and the typical monogamous heterosexual thing.
Yeah,
World is
and
like,
not to mention like all the family gatherings.
oh, yes, of course. Despite people there being stressed about it, and yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous that people say, I have to recover from a holiday. Yeah, but that's what life's become. So, why even stress yourself? Okay, so thank you again, all the best, and thanks to everybody who joined and interacted or otherwise, and people who will whatever, watch, listen, read, and of course, please share and uh, keep the words and the emojis coming. Yeah, even through DMs if required. Okay, everybody, take care. All the best.
See
Bye.
you.
See
See
you. Thank you
ya.
so
Good
much.
night.
Take care. You too. Bye. Thank you. I will share this with you. Okay. I will be. Yeah.